let's do something different. I really want to keep interacting with you guys, but at the moment my work schedule doesn't allow me to go live on a regular basis. So I can't just say to you, hey, 8 PM, let's go live, let's play some games, do an Ask Me Anything. So instead I'm going to go through some previous videos, pick out some comments and talk about them here in more depth. It's going to be kind of like a pre-recorded Ask Me Anything. And from now on, if you want your questions answered, then on these videos, ask them down in the comments and I'll get to them in a future video, as long as they're not, too rude or weird. I don't mind what your comments about, whether it's a question, whether you're agreeing with something, whether you're disagreeing with me, that's fine. And obviously, keep it respectful with each other, please. I don't want to have to break the ban hammer out on anyone. So, hello Asian dude, thank you very much for the comment, my man. Actually, it's common knowledge amongst most backers that there will be a complete wipe when the game launches. What you have now will be gone, and you'll have to work to get everything again. If you're someone who plays for keeps, don't get this until it's released years from now. Yeah, absolutely, there's going to be a wipe, but this is why all of our UEC is actually called Alpha UEC. I think what I was alluding to in the video, and my apologies for not making that particularly clear, was that I'm not sure that we're going to get a release in the conventional sense. I think the game is constantly going to be added to and iterated on, and I think we'll probably enter a state of beta, and then we'll just keep getting like new gameplay loops and new things added, and I don't think the game's ever going to be complete. I mean, they've kind of said that anyway. They said, they'll release and then there will be a quarterly patch that will update things, but I think those updates are going to be more substantial than maybe they thought, and we'll still get significant kind of additions in those updates. So yes, you're absolutely right. And this one's from, oh god, I regret this already, FGJ RTJR. I wish I knew how to pronounce that, bud, but I'm not even going to try it. But thank you very much for the comment, my man. I have been looking everywhere, but can't seem to find a solid answer. What happens to the ships you buy with real money once the game goes live? They are yours. They're not going to be removed. They don't get removed in wipes. They're not going to get removed when the game goes live. We don't know how insurance is going to work, so once your insurance on them expires and they blow up, we're not quite sure what that looks like, but I would guess at this range that you're just going to have to pay a lot of money, in-game money, to get them back. But there's no chance of you losing your real money investments in the game through a wipe. Joshua Klutwick, mate, I am so sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but thank you very much for the comment anyway, brother. You're pretty much guaranteed to lose your ship once you log back in and exit the ship. The thing that sucks is if you don't notice, the terminal still lets you fill up the ship that's not there. Mate, exactly right, and I fell foul of this a couple of times in the last patch. What Josh is talking about here is that on the trading guide that I made, I said that if your trading terminal doesn't work, just go onto your ship, log out, log back in, and fine. Unfortunately, a bug has now crept in that if you wake up on your ship and then you get out and walk around, that the ship actually disappears and needs to be reclaimed. And as he points out, you can still put stuff into it. So anything you buy and put on your ship, or if you buy and put it on just before it disappears, you lose. So be warned. Thanks for the heads up on that one, Joshua. That's going to save some people a lot of money, I think. Still on the subject of trading, we have this from Omar Bendoli. What's up, brother? Hope you're alright. Drugs are broken since 310. No reason at all to get close to them at the moment. You can buy them, but you will have an extremely hard time selling them. Yeah, exactly. At the moment, to simulate that these drugs are harder to get hold of, and because they are the higher profit items to trade with, you'll find that you'll only be able to buy them in small quantities and sell them in small quantities, and it'll take a while to kind of refill, if you see what I mean, what they're ready to sell. That's going to change once the quantum simulation is fully integrated into the game, but at the moment it's a really risky business. Not only do you end up spending ages, which means it's a lot of time and money wasted if you get 30k'd, you'll also find that most of these zones don't have an armistice zone. So if someone takes umbrage to the fact you're dealing drugs, they'll come and they'll strike you. So don't do drugs, kids. WMD, thank you very much for the comment, mate. Says, you never had access to a game this early on, 8 years into development and $350 million already spent. Early days, right? There's 8 years of history of this game for people to look at, and I would caution anyone to have a long hard look before throwing down more than $60. Mate, yeah, absolutely. That last sentence there, there's 8 years of unprecedented access that we've had, lots of content on the internet, lots of videos and stuff from CIG themselves for people to look at before they invest their hard-earned cash in the game. If people come up to me and say, you play Star Citizen, should I have a go? I advise more caution, I think, with this game than any other game that I've ever played because of the state of game that it's at. And that brings us nicely onto your first sentence. You are right. There are thousands of games out there that don't take 8 years of development. They don't take $350 million to be developed. Absolutely. But think of it another way. Imagine the game development as a progress bar. I would say, optimistically, I reckon Star Citizen is what, 20-25%, maybe? But wherever you think it is, ask yourself, with the other betas, the demos, the early access games that you've had a hold of, how early on that progress bar were they at? Because I don't think they're this early. And if they are this early, they tend to be much, much simpler games, much shorter in scope, that don't have anywhere near as much to them. And that's kind of what I meant, I think, by this early into development. There are so many things in the game that don't have a function yet. Salvage, exploration, you know the list as well as I do, right? And I think that's what I mean by early on. Star Citizen is going to be the most expensive game ever developed. It's going to be the longest game ever developed in terms of development time, right? Those things are the case. And if you look at it from where we are now to how long it's going to take, how much money it's going to take and so forth, I do still think we are early on in this game's development. And compared to other games, as a progress bar, this is the earliest. Next up, one from Napo Complex. Hello, mate. Thank you very much for the comment. You mentioned in one of your free fly videos a SAR ship variant. Any chance of a video on SAR in Star Citizen and how that's being developed? Yeah, absolutely. For those not aware, SAR stands for Search and Rescue, and I will definitely be doing a video on one a little later on down the line. At the moment, there aren't enough systems in place, but we know enough about them to make a pretty educated guess. Now, at the moment, when you lose all your health pool, you get shot, or something explodes near you, or whatever, you just die and that's the end of it. What's going to happen in the future is you'll actually become incapacitated, and that's because dying is going to have such an impact on your character and how you progress that they don't want it to just happen at the drop of a hat. So I'd imagine they're going to add something to your suit, or an option to add to your suit that if you do become incapacitated, maybe it creates a beacon for people to come and rescue you. And that's going to lead quite nicely into the two ways I think SAR will actually appear in the universe. And that's firstly with missions, as we expect at the moment. People being attacked, a settlement's had a natural disaster, whatever that is, that you're going to then, the system will generate a contact, you'll go and rescue some AI, and that's the end of it. The other side, of course, is with fleets, with massive fleet combat, with people, and, you're going to have to go there, deal with environmental hazards, there's firefighting, extremes of hot and cold, needing to use the multi-tool to cut out obstacles, and the tractor beam attachment to lift things up and move them. So all of that is making for, I think, what will be a pretty critical profession in Star Citizen. No one wants to watch their character die, so those who are able to be specialised in SAR and be pretty good at it, I think will come at a little bit of a premium. And this comment from Richard Jones. Hello fella, thank you very much for the comment, mate. Why don't they just forget about all this Expo bollocks and make sure the game actually works? Yeah, it's really frustrating, not just with the development and making sure they add everything that they've promised us, but also when you're on your 7th 30k in an hour and all RSI seem to be talking about is new ships, the Expo, all that sort of stuff. I can absolutely get why people get frustrated with it. There's a couple of things I would just say to bear in mind that may or may not make you feel about it better about it, Richard, is that the teams that work on the ships and they work on the interior locations for the Expo and all that sort of stuff, if you were to remove them from all that, none of them are network specialists. So it's not going to make stuff happen quicker. It's not going to fix the bugs quicker. It's not going to get the back-end tech working quicker. The other thing I would say is that I think CIG are in a bit of a position of damned if they do and damned if they don't. When they first started back in 2012, they had very, very few staff, and they took on an awful lot of money from the community. So they have an obligation, I would suggest, to make sure that we see some sort of progress. And part of that progress is testing the system. Can it even deal with events in this state? How do you get a bunch of players in one place to see if the server can handle the load? And the Expo, I think, is doing that. So yeah, I absolutely get the frustration. I'm right there with you. I just don't think removing the events is going to make things happen any quicker. We'll see, I guess. And there's this upbeat comment from Firebrand. Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate it. I love Star Citizen and have been along for the ride since we had nothing but an Aurora in a hangar, and I don't need to justify it to anyone. Absolutely. There are going to be people that don't like Star Citizen and will never like it. There are going to be people that will back it no matter what. The point is that this is a hobby, and, you know, gaming, it's all about immersing yourself in a world, having fun, whether that's with friends, whether that's by yourself. That's entirely up to you. No one has the right to, just because the game that you're backing is being developed in a way they don't agree with, demand that you don't, or demand that you justify it, because all they're going to do is pick holes in it anyway. If they don't understand it, once you've explained how it works and why people back in a general sense, then you explaining particularly why you're going to do it, very unlikely to sway them. So don't feel the need, just let it wash over you. It's like winning an internet argument, doesn't happen. So if you've got a question you'd like to see answered in a future one of these at the end of February, drop them in the comments below. You've been watching Drinkers with Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.